Welcome back to Music Kingdom, and back by popular demand, another blind review and analysis of a metal song. In case you're new to the channel, with your help, I have been educating myself on and dipping my toes into the genre of metal, despite my affinity otherwise for various styles of music, past and present. And so yes, with your help, I have been getting a lot of comments, whether it be on the Metallica review, the Tool review, the Iron Maiden review, the Rainbow review, urging me to explore the work of Black Sabbath. So in this video, we are going to listen to, give a music theory breakdown for, and blindly review Heaven and Hell by Black Sabbath. Hang tight. Hey music lovers, my name is Francis. If you'd like to support the work I put into these videos, click the like button and subscribe to the channel. Speaking of subscribers, I would just like to say thank you. It took a few months to get to 1,000 and then a few weeks to get to 2,000, and now all of a sudden this channel has surpassed 3,000, so I just wanted to say I am super grateful and blown away. And of course, if you'd like to support the channel even further, you'll find Music Kingdom's Patreon and other affiliate links in the description below. Alright, now before we give the song a listen, first let's get a little bit nerdy and briefly talk about Heaven and Hell by Black Sabbath. The track Heaven and Hell is from the 9th studio album by Black Sabbath, also titled Heaven and Hell, released in 1980. To my knowledge, it's the first album by Black Sabbath with the legendary Ronnie James Dio, thereby replacing the otherwise legendary Ozzy Osbourne. Now regarding the song Heaven and Hell specifically, the music for it was composed mainly by guitarist Tony, and the lyrics were entirely written supposedly by Ronnie James Dio. In his own words, Dio said that the song is about the ability of each human being to choose between doing good and doing evil, essentially that each person has a heaven and hell within themselves. Now, assuming a majority of you watching this are die-hard metalheads who know far more about Black Sabbath than myself, I am going to encourage you guys to leave comments down below with any further information, history, facts, trivia regarding either the band, the album, or the song itself, not just to educate me on, but just in case anybody else stumbles upon this video not knowing all too much about Black Sabbath. In addition to that, any other recommendations by Black Sabbath or anybody else for myself and others to explore would be greatly appreciated. Now, something worth mentioning, as I've stated before, in case you're new to the channel, me saying I am not a metalhead does not mean I am anti-metal or that I dislike metal. In fact, I actually have a lot of reverence and respect for the creativity and the artistry, the nuances, the attention to detail within the genre. As many of you probably are as well, I'm a total nerd for music. I love being a sponge. I love learning all that I can, finding the hidden beauty in any genre of any decade, and I think it's really cool with your recommendations that I'm able to further educate myself and enjoy falling deep into the rabbit hole. Alright, at long last, it's time we give the song a listen, and just a heads up, I will be pausing to avoid any copyright strikes and to give my thoughts. And as usual, be sure to stick around after the song for a music theory breakdown from our expert, and then we're going to divide the song into specific categories, grading them each and arriving at an overall score. The melody already sounds a little bit familiar. Also, this is a random thought, but I feel very inclined to like ride a horse to this.
Sing me a song, you're a singer. Do me a wrong, you're a bringer of evil.
He's got such a great voice. And the more I dip my toes into metal, whenever I hear his voice, it's so distinctive. Thoughts so far, I knew there was something familiar about the melody, and now that I have a moment to really think, I am sure of it. It's that melody that goes bum ba da dum, and it reminded me of bum ba da dum in Stargazer by Rainbow. Something else I'm noticing, even though we are pretty early on in the song, is a certain emphasis on the lyrics. I think it's the way the song is either produced or mixed, where they kind of isolate the vocals so that you're forced in a way to pay attention to the story that they're telling, which I think is very well done and evidently effective, because so far I'm very in tune with the subject matter of the lyrics.
The lover of life's not a sinner. The ending is just a beginner. The closer you
I like what the
get
guitars are
to
subtly doing in the background.
the sooner you know that you're dreaming. So it's on and on and on. Oh, it's on and on and on. It goes on and on and on.
I'm a sucker for harmonies. I like the pacing of the song so far too. It's not all in your face at once. I was not expecting harmonies. That's beautiful. Maybe it's a sign of the times and when the song came out, but that's beautiful. Not what you'd expect from metal, you know, or hard rock. Something I wasn't expecting would be those harmonies. I thought they were very unexpected, very tastefully done, very pretty, and in my opinion, doing a service to the overall aesthetic of the song, as opposed to a disservice, which I feel like if they weren't done so tastefully, it could kind of take you out of the overall vibe of the song and of the genre. But so far, it is a fun listen. It does feel sophisticated, and I'm liking the pacing, as mentioned, as well.
Well, if it seems to be real, it's an illusion. For every moment of truth, there's confusion in life. Love can be seen as the answer, but nobody pleads for the dancer.
I love the wisdom. Kind of leave you wanting more as the song kind of goes at its pace. Feels so artistic and creative, perhaps more than I was expecting it to. While I knew going into the song more or less what the general, overall, kind of vague subject matter of the lyrics would be, I did not expect them to be so well written, in a way kind of poetic, to the point where yes, you have those amazing harmonies, yes, you have the bitchin' guitar solos, but for me, the lyrics really are the star of the show. Oh my god. like tuned into the lyrics right now. His voice has a tiny vibe of 70s Freddie Mercury. Oh, my guitar. Oh my god. Oh, that's so pretty. Not expecting acoustic guitar at all. What a lovely outro. Very tasteful. And I think it's fitting as well with the lyrics of the song. Wow. That song, even though it was what it was stylistically, felt like a work of art. Alright, initial thoughts. For starters, I'm very taken back by that outro. I thought it was absolutely unexpected, very beautiful. It added another layer, if you will, of artistry, a certain direction that it took that you were not assuming it would, given the genre of the song. But also even further than that, in my opinion, it added an extra dimension to the song creatively as well. Otherwise, yes, as mentioned, I love the pacing, but for me, of course, the star of the show would be the lyrics. I'm not going to be redundant and talk about them endlessly, but from the start to the very end, I was very entranced and in tune with every single verse, every single chorus. I liked the guitar solo as well. I thought it was very stellar. Now, overall, the entirety of the song, I will say I liked it. I wouldn't say I was blown away necessarily or taken back as a whole. Perhaps the way I was with other metal songs I've reviewed so far. But having said that, for what it is, I can absolutely appreciate it and respect it. But of course, before I can break apart the song into specific categories, grading them each, and arriving at an overall score, let's first go to the expert's corner for a music theory breakdown and to hear what he has to say.
Welcome to the Expert's Corner. This is Heaven and Hell by Black Sabbath. This song is in the time signature of 4/4 and it's in the key of E flat minor, which I think is pretty cool because for some reason you don't see too many songs that are in E flat minor. Musically, this song is pretty simple, but it has some stuff that I love and I'm going to show you what that is. So one of the main riffs is just a melody, it's not chords, but you've got but then eventually they add a pretty cool harmony to it. At some point in the song, that riff leads into a chord progression that my ears weren't ready for. I think it's such a cool progression. Here it is. You've got A flat minor, D flat major, E over G sharp, B over F sharp, F sharp over A sharp, D flat to A flat. When I heard that for the first time, it was just... Also, for you fellow music nerds, I realized I was switching my sharps and flats throughout each of those chords. I was just saying them as I'm used to saying most of these chords. I realized I was not being consistent, and it's okay if you call me out on it. So having listened to this song a few times now, I think it's super well-rounded. You have a bit of everything. You've got strong vocals, great drumming, simple but good composition, beautiful lyrics, even a variety of vibes. You've got kind of a slower groove in the beginning, that really fast rocking groove in the end, and then that gorgeous, unexpected acoustic outro. In the end, I'm going to give this song an 8 out of 10. The only reason it's not getting a 9 or a 10 out of 10 is because I would need the composition to give me a little bit more. However, an 8 is still very high coming from me, and this song is very respectable. Back to you, Francis.
A very special thank you to our expert for providing a music theory breakdown and giving the song a very strong 8 out of 10. And now it's time to divide the song into 5 more specific categories, grading them each and arriving at an overall score. Starting out with composition specifically, I'm inclined to give it a very solid 7 out of 10. And I will keep my explanation for this category on the brief side since our musical expert just went over a lot of that stuff. Now, in my opinion, I feel a 7 out of 10 is fair in the sense of it being a good composition, but not necessarily great. While I appreciate the outro of the song, while I appreciate the different transitions into different styles within the song, if we're talking structure, if we're talking overall artistry, if we're talking about the makeup of how the song was composed, I simply feel that it's not necessarily on par with at least some of the other metal songs that I've reviewed. So in my opinion, a 7 out of 10 is solid, good, but not quite great. Up next, we have production specifically, which I'm inclined to give a very strong 8 out of 10. Now, in the world of hard rock, in the world of heavy metal, grading production, assessing production is a bit more difficult than other genres, whether it be past and present, because it's hard to gauge if they're not throwing horns at something, right? If they're not throwing sound effects at something with technology, if they're not throwing a string section in there. It is kind of hard to gauge the involvement and the levels of production when it just kind of boils down to how a song might be mixed. And in my opinion, I feel it was very well mixed, as mentioned, in the way that they really isolate the vocals of Ronnie James Dio and really putting emphasis on the lyrics while not necessarily having the rest of the song, musically speaking, take a back seat either. You can still absolutely feel the genius of the guitar. I really did think it was gorgeously tasteful how they kind of inserted those harmonies in there. I really wasn't expecting that, and for me that always kind of beefs up a song as well. And of course, to mention it for the 20th time, that gorgeous unexpected outro with the acoustic guitar, all of that is production, and in my opinion, it was very tastefully done and well deserving, of course, of an 8 out of 10. Moving right along to lyrics specifically, I'm inclined to give the lyrics to this song a whopping 8.5 out of 10. And in case you're new to the channel, it's very rare that we get into the territory of 9s, 9.5s, and 10s. So for me, an 8.5 is like, wow. And I don't mean to be redundant because I've probably spoken more about the lyrics than I even have the outro, which has been a lot of times. But even still, it can't be understated just how well written they are. Now, am I going to go as far as to say that they are some of the most brilliantly penned lyrics in the history of the music industry? No, I will not go that far. However, I will say that in their own right, they're close enough to that realm. And that's something I'm really coming to appreciate when it comes to the overall genre of metal. I do find it so interesting that once upon a time, the genre was so vilified, right? And it had attachments to Satanism and the occult and things like that. Of course, that wasn't an era of the United States of America that was very conservative and right-leaning and very Christian, you know what I mean? The whole Reagan era, which is disappointing, right? There's so much creativity and artistry to be admired and praised within the genre. In addition to the voice that Ronnie James Dio has, you really appreciate his talent and ability as a songwriter. While on the subject of the legendary Ronnie, let's naturally segue to our next category, which is the category of vocals. And I'm inclined to give his vocals in this song another very strong 8 out of 10. Now, I'd like to make it clear, am I giving the overall vocal ability of Ronnie an 8 out of 10? No, I would probably go higher than that. I'm talking about this song specifically. Because, for example, if I'm talking about the song Stargazer, I felt that that vocal performance was stronger than this one. Even still, the performance in this song was absolutely fantastic, and I love how distinctive his voice is. The moment you hear it, you're thinking, oh my god, this song is going to smack me up. And it did. Now, was he absolutely belting to the best of his ability? Was he doing incredible vocal runs? Was he showing off some vibrato and the falsetto? Things like that that really warrant even higher scores for even more versatile vocal deliveries? No, but even still, it was still such a very impressive delivery, especially when combined with the subject matter of the lyrics, while simultaneously the music itself is climaxing and intensifying, and it all reaches this epic point of vocal delivery, musicality, and lyrical depth all at once that just absolutely overwhelms you in the best way. That, in my opinion, is what really can make an already great vocal performance even better. Alright, arriving at our final category of originality, I'm inclined to give this song's originality yet another very strong 8 out of 10. As mentioned quite frequently on this channel, other synonymous words I'll use to go along with originality would be inspiration, would be creativity. Is it unique? Is it fresh? Is there vision? Is it innovative? Is it authentic? Is it expressive? In my opinion, this song is all of those things. Now, I wouldn't say it's all of those things to the degree of a 9, a 9.5, or a 10. So for me, where it really gets bonus points, if you will, for the originality would be yes in the outro, would be yes in the usage of harmonies, and would be yes, of course, especially in the subject matter of the lyrics. Additional context worth noting as well is when this song came out. We're talking about a song that is, what, 43 years old? So I want to acknowledge, in addition to all of that, that in its own right, it probably did blaze a trail of sorts for the genre of metal as it continued to evolve in the decades that followed. So if we add it all up, throw in the expert score and average it out, Heaven and Hell from the 9th studio album by Black Sabbath, also titled Heaven and Hell, released in 1980, gets a very solid 7.9 out of 10. In my opinion, perhaps to an extent if we put historical context aside and listen to the song for what it is, I do feel that it's as close to great as it can be while still being good, right? Like very good. And I do feel that that's reflected in the score of a 7.9. As usual, you'll have to let me know in the comments whether I'm right on the money, am I batshit crazy, am I somewhere in between? In the comments below as well, be sure to let me and others know what you think of this song by Black Sabbath, what your favorite Black Sabbath song is, and of course, what this channel should review next. And as always, if you'd like to support myself and the work I put into these videos, click the like button and subscribe to the channel. And if you'd like to support the channel even further, you'll find Music Kingdom's Patreon and other affiliate links in the description below. This has been another edition of Music Kingdom. Thank you so much for listening with me, and I look forward to jamming with you in the next one.